The day my son kicked me out, it was raining. Not a soft drizzle. No, this was the kind of rain that soaks through your bones, that makes you feel small and forgotten by the world. On the porch, I stood with a single suitcase. My fingers clutched the handle so tight my knuckles turned white. Behind me, the front door clicked shut. No goodbye, no hug, not even a glance. Just silence. That was his thank you for everything I'd ever done. A deep breath I took, but the cough came first. It rattled through my chest, sharp and raw. Slightly, I bent over, steadying myself on the banister, praying no one was watching me fall apart. He said he needed space. But I knew what that meant. I wasn't his mother anymore. I was just inconvenient. On the cracked concrete step, the wheels of my suitcase caught. I yanked it loose with a wet slap. 1, 2, 3 steps down. The rain kept falling. No one came out to stop me. Not him, not his girlfriend. Not even the neighbors looked my way. I was alone again. And yet, deep inside, something had shifted. That day, as I stepped into the street with rain in my shoes and fire in my chest, I made a silent promise. You think you've won, Ethan? You think this is the end? Oh no, darling. This is just the beginning. Rewind 25 years. No rain. Just a flickering ceiling light in a cramped apartment that always smelled like damp walls and boiled rice. I was 22, holding Ethan for the first time in my arms. His tiny fingers curled around mine like he knew I was all he had. And he was all I had left. Before Ethan took his first breath, his father was gone. Said he wasn't ready to be a dad. Walked out and never looked back. I didn't chase him. I looked at my son and made a vow. You'll never feel unwanted. Not for a single second. I named him Ethan because it meant strong. Though back then I didn't realize the strength would have to come from me first. I worked the morning shift mopping school hallways, then changed into a polyester uniform to serve tables at a diner till midnight. Double shifts, triple shifts when the rent went up. Some nights I came home with blisters on my feet and tears I didn't let fall until Ethan was asleep. I'd sit on our old second-hand couch, springs poking my back, watching him sleep in a crib I found at a garage sale. And I'd whisper, "One day, baby. One day you'll have everything I never did." I didn't date. Didn't party. While other girls my age were chasing dreams, I was chasing overdue bills and grocery store discounts. And I didn't care because every time Ethan smiled, every time he ran to me yelling, "Mommy," it felt like winning the lottery. I still remember his first school play. I saved up 2 weeks just to buy him a costume. He was a tree, a tiny wobbly tree with cardboard leaves. But to me he was the entire forest. People used to tell me, "You're wasting your youth." But they didn't know. They didn't know that this little boy, he was my youth, my purpose, my heartbeat. Everything I did, every bruise on my hand, every night I went to bed hungry was for him. If I'd known how it would all turn out, would I have done it differently? No. Because a mother's love isn't about the return. It's about the promise. And I kept mine. Took me 15 years. 15 years of burned hands, sore backs, and sleeping with one eye open just to make sure we were safe. And then one day I did it. I stood in front of a small beat-up house at the edge of town. The paint was peeling, the yard was overgrown, and one shutter hung sideways like it had given up hope a long time ago. But me, I saw potential. I saw home. I remember holding the keys in my palm like they were made of gold. "We have a house, Ethan," I whispered, voice shaking. "A real one. No more landlords. No more moving. This is ours." He was 12. He jumped up and down, hugging me, yelling, "We have a house. We have a house." Like it was Christmas. We painted the walls together. Well, I painted while he made a mess. He got more blue on the floor than the actual wall, but I didn't mind. We laughed. We played music. We made memories. That old place was small. 2 bedrooms, creaky floors, no dishwasher, but it was filled with love. And when I signed the papers, I put it under my name just in case. But I looked him in the eye and said, "One day when you're older, this will be yours." He smiled wide. "You're the best mom in the world." And I believed him. That house wasn't just a roof over our heads. It was the proof of everything I'd survived. Every scar, every sacrifice. Every night I cried in silence. Now poured into 4 walls and a crooked fence. A home built from love and trust. The kind of trust that would one day come back to haunt me. Ethan came back from college with a fresh haircut, a new jacket, and a girl on his arm. Her name was Mandy. Pretty polite, a little too polished. She smiled wide, called me Miss Linda, brought wine I couldn't pronounce, and offered to help with dishes after dinner. First I was happy. Really I was. I thought, my boy is growing up. He's in love. The first few weeks felt like a dream. We had dinners together, laughed over stories from his campus life. I even pulled out old photo albums showing Mandy baby pictures of Ethan in his Halloween pumpkin costume. She giggled, blushed. He rolled his eyes and smiled, but then something shifted. It started small, a closed bedroom door during dinner, an awkward silence when I walked into the kitchen. Mandy stopped calling me Miss Linda. She just didn't call me anything at all. Then one night, I walked past their room and heard whispering. Mandy's voice. She's kind of in the way. I froze. I told myself I heard wrong, that she didn't mean it like that, but things kept changing. They began eating separately, ordering takeout, and leaving the wrappers in the trash like I wasn't even there. They stopped saying good morning, stopped saying good night, stopped saying anything. I'd cook dinner and set 3 plates. Only one would be used, mine. Sometimes I'd hear them laughing in the living room, but when I walked in, the laughter stopped. The TV stayed on, but the room went cold. One day, I walked into the kitchen and found a note on the fridge. Please don't rearrange the cabinets. Mandy likes it a certain way. My kitchen, my house. I smiled politely when they were around. Told myself I was overthinking, but deep down I started to feel it. The warmth in my own home was slipping away, replaced by eggshells I had to walk on. In a house I built with my own hands. I wasn't the center of Ethan's world anymore. I wasn't even part of it. I was a shadow, a nuisance, a silent figure haunting the corners of their perfect little life. And the worst part, he didn't even notice me disappearing. It started with a cough. Nothing dramatic, just a tickle in the throat here and there. I blamed the weather, the dust, maybe even the stress, but the cough didn't go away. It got deeper, louder, angrier. Then came the fatigue. I'd wake up tired. I stood too long and my knees buckled. The stairs became mountains. Even stirring a pot of soup made my arms ache like I'd been lifting bricks. One night, I nearly dropped a boiling pan of rice. My hand just gave out. I gripped the counter, gasping. No one came. They were in the living room laughing at something on TV. The next day, I went to the doctor. After the test, she sat me down and spoke slowly like I couldn't handle the truth. You have chronic lung disease. You need rest, medication, and ideally support. Support. I smiled bitterly. I'll figure it out. I came home with a bag of prescriptions I could barely afford and a folder of instructions I could barely read through the dizziness. I waited for Ethan to ask how it went. He didn't. That night at dinner, well, I say dinner, but it was just me at the table. I cleared my throat and said, "The doctor says I need to take it easy for a while." Ethan looked up from his phone. Okay. That was it. Okay. Mandy raised an eyebrow. You look fine to me. Maybe it's just age. I stared at her. She smiled, but it wasn't kind. It was that thin, patronizing smile people give when they've already decided your pain isn't real. In the weeks that followed, I tried to slow down. I really did. But someone still had to do the laundry, clean the bathroom, cook, sweep, keep the house moving. So I kept pushing myself until my body pushed back. One afternoon, I collapsed in the kitchen. A full-on dizzy spell. I grabbed the sink just in time. My vision blurred. My chest burned. I called out, "Ethan." Nothing. "Ethan." Louder this time. The door upstairs closed. I stood there, hands trembling, heart breaking. I wasn't just sick. I was invisible. Later, I overheard Mandy say, "If she can't handle basic stuff, maybe she shouldn't be here." Ethan didn't argue. He didn't defend me. He just stayed quiet. And in that silence, I felt sicker than ever. It was a Sunday afternoon. I just finished folding the last of their laundry. Yes, their laundry. Even sick, even weak, I still tried to hold this house together. My chest ached from coughing all morning, but I ignored it like always. Then Ethan called out from the living room. "Hey Mom, can we talk?" I walked in, drying my hands on a towel. Mandy was already seated, legs crossed, her nails freshly painted. Eyes locked on me like I was about to be served a verdict. Ethan didn't meet my gaze. He sat down, cleared his throat. "Mom, Mandy and we've been talking." I felt a chill crawl up my spine. "We feel like it's getting crowded. We don't have the space we need. And with your condition, it's been hard." I blinked. What are you saying? He looked up finally, eyes blank, voice flat. We can't take care of you right now. The room spun. I grabbed the side of a chair to steady myself. Are you kicking me out? Before he could answer, Mandy chimed in, a sweet voice laced with poison. It's not personal. You'll figure something out. You're resourceful, right? I stared at them both, my son and his girlfriend, the boy I raised on scraped knees and sleepless nights. The man who once cried when I left him at daycare now couldn't wait to see me go. I didn't speak. I couldn't. The words got caught behind the lump in my throat. They didn't wait for a reply. Mandy got up, walked past me like I was a ghost, and Ethan followed. I stood there gripping that chair like it was the only thing keeping me on this earth. They gave me a week, 7 days to pack up 25 years of love, sacrifice, and silence. The first box I filled was full of sweaters. I had to sit down halfway through. My chest was burning. My hands shook, but no one came to help. Not even when I dropped a glass and it shattered. Not even when I had a coughing fit so violent I nearly vomited. They stayed upstairs. I made soup one night, one last dinner. I thought maybe they'd sit with me, share one last moment, but they ordered Thai food and watched a movie behind a closed door. On my final morning, I wheeled my suitcase down the hall. I stopped in front of Ethan's door. I listened. Laughter. Her laughter. His too. I knocked lightly. I'm leaving now. Silence. Then Mandy's voice, flat, bored. Good luck. That was it. Not even a glass of water. Not a hug. Goodbye. Not one tear. I opened the front door. The wind was cold. The sky was gray. I took one last look at the living room I once filled with birthday balloons and bedtime stories. Now it was just walls. Walls that no longer remembered me. As I stepped outside, dragging my suitcase over the threshold, I told myself something I didn't quite believe yet. You're not done. You're not broken. They might have closed the door, but this isn't the end. And somewhere deep inside that hollowed heart of mine, a spark lit. I spent the first night on my friend Carla's couch. Her apartment was small, cluttered, smelled like cinnamon and old candles, but it was warm and more importantly, it was kind. She didn't ask questions. Just made me tea, gave me a blanket, and let me cry. The next morning, I opened the suitcase I had barely packed. Everything inside felt foreign now. My clothes, my toothbrush, my life. Tucked at the bottom beneath a rolled-up cardigan was a worn manila folder. I pulled it out, hands trembling, slowly opened it. Inside, the house deed. I stared at the paper, the bold black letters staring back at me like a forgotten truth. Owner, Linda M. Carter. No cosigner, no joint tenancy, no transfer. Just me. He never asked, I whispered. He never even checked. I could almost hear Ethan's voice in my head, so sure of himself, so entitled. We need space. We can't take care of you. Space. It was my house. I paid every mortgage, painted every wall, scrubbed every tile until my hands bled. He just moved in and assumed. He thought kindness meant weakness. He forgot I built that house. I held the deed tighter, a slow heat blooming in my chest. Not rage. Not yet, just clarity. I spent so many years bending over backwards for that boy. I forgot what it felt like to stand tall. That afternoon I got dressed, fixed my hair, and walked into a law office 2 blocks from Carla's building. The receptionist looked up. How can we help you today? I placed the folder on the counter like it was a weapon. I'd like to file for an eviction. She blinked. Eviction of my son, I said, calm as ice, and his guest. By the time the lawyer called me in, I already had the entire plan in my head. This wasn't about revenge. It was about reminding them who I was and who they never should have underestimated. I wasn't some sick, helpless woman they could toss aside. I was the owner of that house and I was ready to take it back. Exactly 1 week later at 8:03 a.m., a knock echoed through the front door of my old house. Ethan opened it, hair messy, eyes still foggy from sleep. Mandy stood behind him in a robe, sipping coffee, clearly annoyed by the interruption. On the porch stood a uniformed sheriff, tall and stone-faced. He held a white envelope in his gloved hand. Are you Ethan Carter? Ethan nodded slowly. Yeah. You've been served. You have 30 days to vacate the premises. Mandy blinked. Excuse me, vacation what? Ethan tore open the envelope, scanning the papers like he was trying to read through water. His face paled. What is this? This has to be a mistake. This is my house. The sheriff didn't flinch. The property is under the legal ownership of Linda M. Carter. She's filed for eviction. And just then I stepped out from behind the hedges. Calm, poised, dressed in the same coat I wore the day he pushed me out. Ethan's jaw dropped. Mom, I met his eyes. Steady, unblinking. No, Ethan. It was never your house. It was always mine. Silence swallowed the porch. Mandy stepped forward, face flushed. This is ridiculous. You can't just show up and kick us out like we're squatters. I tilted my head. Well, legally you are. She turned to Ethan, fuming. I told you to get it in writing. I told you. Then she stormed inside. A minute later, she came back out with her purse, her keys, and no intention of waiting around. I'm not staying in a house that belongs to your mommy. Figure your life out, Ethan. She drove off without another word. Ethan turned back to me, eyes wide, voice cracking. Mom, come on. You can't be serious. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. You said you needed space. He swallowed. You said you couldn't take care of me. He looked down. So now you have space, Ethan. 30 days of it. The sheriff handed him the second copy and walked off, leaving us there on that familiar porch. I took one final look at my son, not with anger, not with hate, with clarity. I gave you everything. And when I needed just a little, you gave me nothing. Then I turned, walked down the steps he once watched me leave from. Only this time I wasn't broken. I wasn't coughing. I wasn't begging to stay. I was walking away, owning every step. The house is no longer mine to live in, but I still own it. I rent it out now to a quiet couple with a baby girl and a vegetable garden. They pay on time. They smile when they see me. They say thank you. I moved out to the countryside into a small lakeside cabin. Nothing fancy. One bedroom, creaky floors, birds that wake me at sunrise, but it's peaceful. And for the first time in years I sleep through the night. There's no Mandy slamming doors, no footsteps upstairs, no whispering behind walls, just wind in the trees and water lapping at the dock. I spend my mornings walking by the lake with a warm scarf around my shoulders. My lungs still struggle some days, but I breathe easier here. I started volunteering at a local women's shelter. I teach young single moms how to budget, how to fight for what's theirs, how to survive when love turns cold. I tell them the truth that motherhood is not martyrdom, that giving everything doesn't mean giving up yourself, that boundaries are a form of love too. Sometimes I see Ethan's face in those shelters. Not him exactly, but versions of him. Young men raised by mothers who gave them the world and taught them to never say thank you. But I don't dwell on him anymore. Ethan tried to reach out once. Sent a text. Hope you're okay. I read it. I didn't reply. Not out of hate, but because some doors once closed don't need to be opened again. I gave my son everything. But I finally gave myself something too, peace. And peace is priceless. I sit on the porch some evenings, tea in hand, watching the sun melt into the lake. The world is quiet. My soul is quiet. I may have lost my home once. My son too. But I found something better. Sometimes you have to lose everything to realize what you truly own. And in my case, it was my strength.